Hello, dear friends. You never know what you have until it's time to move. When the situation is good, enjoy it. When the situation is bad, transform it. When you cannot change the situation, transform yourself. Opinion piece. Exciting times. Moving times. The long-awaited moment. Change is there. Resetting of all systems. Light is revelation and change. Nothing will ever be as it was before. There is no transition without change. Seeing to believe or believing to see. Let's start. 2023 is the year when the economy will fail according to the experts. Is there a big market crash coming? There are many theories and predictions about what could happen in the financial markets, but it should be borne in mind that no prediction is 100% accurate and that it is very difficult to predict market behavior. Nothing will ever go back to the way it was. There is no transition without change, and change only happens when everything is transformed. Planetary change is a very big event, so big that humankind's consciousness will struggle to comprehend it. There is no single event here, but many gradual and structured events, so as not to cause too much of a scare. According to Viral Frozy, although the transition will be completed by 2050, the years between 2020 and 2030 would be the most exciting. Others say that the end would be in 2038 or 39. This is the period in which all existing and previously known systems will be restarted. New systems and new technologies will also be brought to the attention of humankind. My money is mostly on 2026, although I expect to see big news in 2023. According to Peter B. Mayer, the dark powers, who have had unlimited freedom on planet Earth for hundreds of thousands of years, are now facing our forces of light who, through a great effort, moved forward and transformed these negative forces that sabotaged the initiatives to make it possible to break out of isolation. But that has been broken once and for all. This process can no longer be stopped. Both from above and from below, energies are converging on the Earth. This is the moment that has been awaited for thousands of years. Light is revelation and change. The report of what is about to happen will be the biggest news in the history of humankind. People inside and outside governments will begin to speak the truth with more energy and clarity, with less fear than ever before in history. Their words will be heard, preserved and multiplied. Much will come to light, to see the world in a right light. Signals. Benjamin Fulford believes that the coronation of King Charles III was the triggering event people were waiting for. However, whatever happens to King Charles, in quotes, we are entering a period where a lot of people at the top of governments who have perceived policies that are antithetical to their own people are going to be very worried about surviving in power, says Colonel Douglas MacGregor. In quotes, I don't expect much to change until the system implodes and the economy tanks. I think we are getting close, he adds. It is important to note that the role of the monarch in UK politics is mainly ceremonial, with executive power exercised by the Prime Minister and Parliament. Charles III was anointed with special oil, but it was not shown to the public because it burns. After being anointed, a mole appears if done correctly. The BBC believes that everyone will have to reduce their standard of living by more than 75%. In any case, the financial implosion is forcing the system to change. The biggest sign that something is happening is that General Milley resigned as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and was replaced by Air Force General Charles Brown Jr. General Brown was appointed in August 2020 to succeed General Goldfein as Air Force Chief of Staff. Opinions. Globalist dystopias require that people are not exposed to external influences and that workers cannot live and be productive elsewhere. Countries don't say they are joining BRICS so as to not antagonize each other, says Rafa Pal. There is someone on the planet who thinks they have the right to rule you. Let us sink in. It's hard to understand. Can an entire country become mentally ill? We seem to be seeing it. Time to Prepare by Steve Biko. In days or weeks, we will hear news more disturbing than anything we have heard before when the shockwave of the 10 days of disclosure hits. Some people will collapse. Some will act. It will be a good time to be on the inside. Many banks seem destined to fail. Goldilocks and Seeds of Wisdom. As the old system dies, a new one will arise. It is clear that many financial institutions are preparing for a recession. Many people have foreseen this reset and the new system that is on the other side of this crumbling old financial system. According to restrictive sage, change is in the air. The source has heard our prayers and has anointed its faithful to end the suffering, confusion and painful legacy of a world that has worshipped war and tolerated degradation. Let us now help bind up the wounds and anoint the flesh and spirit with healing salves. Anna von Reitz believes, in quotes, that currency revaluation is a fraud at best, because even the members of the RV committee admit that nobody knows the price of anything anymore, because markets have been manipulated for so long through central banks and commodity exchanges. Markets. The West is not over for the stock market, wants JP Morgan's Kolanovic. Emerging markets anxious of a tacky boat. Lending will get harder before it gets easier, say banks. Warren Buffett says bank executives should face punishment when lenders fail. Global markets face danger of Minsky moment. Investors should brave for months of market adjustments overshadowed by the threat of a new financial crash, according to Allianz chief economist Ludovic Subran. The Minsky moment is the risk that an asset price crash will lead to a chain of defaults, triggering a financial crisis. Investors should prepare for months of a volatile stock market, according to Allianz. Stability, fragility, and then suddenly a crisis. That's the fate that Hyman Minsky, a former professor of economics at Washington University in St. Louis, warned in 1986 could come for economies to take on too much risky debt and allow speculative bubbles to form in the market. Prices. Oil prices fall ahead of inflation data. According to Sinfu, the price of gold has reached an all-time high, but could go even higher. There are two black swan events that could drive gold into the stratosphere. As the banking collapse collapse continues, investors could flood into gold if either scenario occurs. Here is what you need to know about why confidence in the financial system is breaking down and why gold will gain. Silver is in the $25 range, but a 1 ounce American Eagle coin cost almost $50, paying almost twice the price of silver. According to Ethan Huff, the copper crisis threatens the future of clean energy. There is not enough copper available for the world to go green. Central banks increase their gold reserves in reaction against the dollar. The dollarization efforts, now news of China. The dollarization effort sees China expand its gold reserve for 6 consecutive months. If China abandons the dollar, the consequences could be severe. Sanctions encourage China to develop artificial intelligence without relying on foreign chips. China advocates peaceful unification with Taiwan, but says it doesn't rule out other methods. Cryptocurrency. The European Union plans to tidy up cryptocurrencies and create its own blockchain. Bitcoin sets new trading record amid banking turmoil. Bitcoin falls more than 5% as crypto market falls ahead of CPI report. Bank of Canada asks for public opinion on the national digital currency. Wildfires leave nearly 30,000 evacuated in Canada. Europe. Italy asks France for a clearer apology after accusing Meloni of lying about the immigration crisis. NATO puts Spanish fighter jets on high alert after the incident with the Russian Sukhoi 35 in the Black Sea. Russian crude oil continues to flow to Europe despite restrictions. Iran executes 2 men for blasphemy against Islam. USA. Yellen warns of constitutional crisis as debt ceiling deadline looms. The Treasury set 1st June as the date X to reach an agreement on this issue. The debt ceiling fight is already taking its toll on investors. Hugh Henry believes the government could freeze bank withdrawals as monetary panic and capital flight increase. Homeless encampments increase as rents and evictions rise. Texas activates tactical border force as illegal immigration increases. An artificial intelligence system in Texas can translate thoughts into text. According to Mike Adams, the US power grid is at risk of power outages because of fossil fuel plants continue to be shut down with nothing to replace them. Gigawatts of power productions are being cut, while at the same time more electric cookers, cars and water heaters have been placed on the grid, straining it to the breaking point. Kissinger believes that peace negotiations in Ukraine would take place by the end of this year. Are we heading towards Eden on earth? What the Bible says: meaningful and satisfying work, no more sickness or suffering of any kind, a happy and endless life with family and friends. Americas. Mexican peso shows its muscle and registers its best level since 2017. Mexico's Supreme Court annuls AMLO's electoral reform. AMLO relies on dollar strength and rules out diversifying international reserves. The right wing won the election of constitutional councillors in Chile. Venezuela estimates economic growth of over 5% for this year. Maduro accuses Borrell of wanting to take the world to nuclear war. Nicaragua confirms zero tariff trade agreement with China. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.